Today, I would like to talk about karma. So, karma is a really interesting one. I find it fascinating, actually. And I want to begin by saying that the karma that we have is often the karma we brought from our own lives or our past lives. So, the karma can come from past life, or we can actually make the karma in this life. For example, if we are supposed to do something and we don't do that, and let's say it's a spiritual thing or a learning thing, then there can be karma from that because we said we will do it, we're going to come down, we're going to learn that lesson, we're going to forgive the person, we're going to be more tolerant, we're going to do the work, for example, like I need to do my service work. And if we don't do that, then we will have a karmic reaction to that. Often the past life karma is very interesting because they happen, but we can't remember them. But when we come back into this life, we pay the karma back. And often in the readings, I will say to someone, in the last life, your mother was ill and you took care of her. So that's why in this life, your mum, as your husband or someone, is taking care of you. Karma is repaid. This year is very important. This year in 2022, I learned something very interesting for me about karmic doors. This year is the year when a lot of people are going to either do the work or then pay the karma, and the doors will be closing. I felt the doors are closing on a universal level around November, December, which is interesting with what's happening in the world as well. And so the doors are closing because a lot of us said we were going to come from love, we were going to do certain things, we were going to change some aspects of our personality. But now it's come to be here in the human life. We've decided we don't want to do that now. And unfortunately, for some of us, there's going to be the closing of the karmic door. I have seen in my life some people around me who have decided they're not going to make changes. They don't want to do it. And I can see the doors are starting to close. The way I see it is I see the door and then I can't see much light coming through the door. And then the light gets dimmer and dimmer. And then I get that feeling that now they're on another karmic path. The karmic path they're on, once these doors close, will not be as good as if they'd done what they were supposed to do. It's not God's fault or anyone else's fault. It's what you've chosen for yourself, that you won't make the changes. You won't come from love or give up all your power and control and ego things. Because you won't do that, you set yourself upon another karmic path. I know of 3 or 4 people in my life where I've just noticed the karmic door aspect coming up. So this is like others are going in and starting to do what they were supposed to and make the changes, but these people are not. And because I can see, it's sad because I see that they're going to get this lesson another way, and it's probably not going to be so easy or so good for them. So this year the karmic doors are actually closing, which is really interesting in a year which is a 22, because the master numbers are 11, 22, 33, and we're in a 22. There is also karma happening on a world level now, and you can see that whether people are going to come from power and control and aggression or come from love and negotiation and compassion and empathy. And our world's a little bit on a tinderbox right now to see which way this goes. So the karma can be changed by ourselves. We often get many chances, even within one life. We will keep setting it up to get another go at it, I suppose, because we decided that we'd do it before we came down, when we sat there in the Garden of Remembrance with our guides and planned out what would be the pathways. It was easy then. It's kind of like going on a diet when you're lying on the couch the night before eating pretzels, and you're going to go on this diet tomorrow. It's a bit like that. But when we get down here, we forget what we set out. Sometimes we'll have an intuitive knowing, but as a human, we have mostly forgotten. and then Spirit will prod us, and we get prods all over the place to encourage us, to guide us. But quite often we don't listen and we just go hell-bent. I know that when I had my accident at 42, I had a severe electrical accident, and I crossed over and basically chose to come back. That was that was a karmic doorway that I had set up, and I was just about to go down the wrong door. But fortunately for me, I came back and began to deal with all my rubbish and do the new work. If you're feeling that you're not doing something you're supposed to be doing, I advise you to think carefully and maybe get back on track. It'll save you a lot of pain and suffering, because the next lot of karmic exercises won't be as good. I've encouraged some people to make those changes too, and have spoken to them about these karmic doors, but it's still their choice. The doors are very interesting. They're interesting because we've set them up for our learning and for our growth, and yet we, being human, we will actually sometimes just make our life worse, and just through our stubbornness won't do it. And you need to look at that. If you're a stubborn person, that sometimes stubbornness is a very bad thing. Being determined is good, but being stubborn can be counterintuitive and also get you in a bit of a mess, because you can be stubborn about something but actually still be wrong, but you won't admit it and you can't move on. This year is a big year spiritually. A lot of people who have been working hard for years and decades on things, and now the door's opening for them as well. So as much as the karmic door is closing for some, the karmic doors are actually opening for other people. So people who've been working on certain projects or on personal ventures and just working, sticking at it, now these doors will open. So if you feel you've done a lot of work on yourself or on a project, don't give up now. Now is not the time to give up. Hang in there, because the karmic door will open for you. And when that happens, you will go on the next part of the path. So as much as we can see it negatively, it actually also has a positive aspect, which is the opening of the doors. I feel too the world is doing this, like the karmic doors in some way looks like it's closing, but we could learn a lot. We've learned a lot from the virus, and now we'll learn a lot from these war-like problems in Europe. And then once we've learnt the lessons as humanity, perhaps then the door opens and things will actually get better. Because we really need to be coming from love and compassion, and not from power and control, and not from the negative aspects of greed. So have a look at your life and you'll probably know pretty much where you are karmically, where the door is open and closed. I suggest that you ask your guides to filter down the information for you. If you have a good reader or an intuitive healer, they'll often be able to pick up things for you. But having said that, if it doesn't resonate, what people tell you when you go to healers or readers or clairvoyants, there's two reasons. Either you're blocking it, you don't want to know it, but often the reason is because it's not validating on a soul level for you. So maybe the reader's translating in a way that's not actually true for you. At the end of the day, it always has to feel like it resonates with you. And that's very important. I've decided that all this work I've done over the decades now, I've been happy to do it, but I actually feel too that the door's opening for me, and there's a lot more for me to do now. And so I feel, and I'm hoping for you, that the door is actually opening for you. We are like a mini version of what's happening on a big scale in the world, but we can also be a micro version, but actually implement change on a bigger level. So every one of us who's walking through the door now is helping the world to start to walk through the door and become more compassionate and loving and come from a better space. I hope you enjoyed listening today. When I first got the information about the doors, I was pretty excited. I get kind of excited about this stuff. And so then I went exploring and thinking about it. And then I just wanted to do this podcast because I think it's very fascinating. When you look around your life, you will see now people who the doors are closing. Sometimes the closing can mean that they're actually not going to stay here much longer as well. I don't mean to make you upset when I say that, but sometimes the karmic door's closing for them and there's no purpose to stay because what they were going to do, they're not doing. And people sometimes leave and die because it's finished, it's done, this life. They were supposed to do the things, they don't want to do the things, and so they leave. And then maybe next life they will do them. So the karmic doors can actually also mean that people will leave the earth more early than they would have. But remember, it's always their choice. And then they can come back and do it if they want to or not. So that's just a little aside about the doors. That's why I think we've seen a lot of people leaving. A lot of people left through the virus, but I think there's going to be even more people leaving. And just remember, it was their choice to leave, that perhaps it was their time to go, and they made different choices, and that's okay. So I'll leave it there. Enjoy your week, and love and light to you.